Hello friends, welcome to Edupedia World Videos. Today our topic is diversity in the living world. Okay, now the question is, what is diversity in the living world? So we see that there are number and types of organisms present on Earth. So these are known as the biodiversity, and the number of species is around 1.7 to 1.8 million. So there are such large number of species on our earth. And now we have a special term known as taxonomy, or it is also known as systematics. So systematics is that branch of biology which deals with identification, classification, and nomenclature and documentation of organisms. Now there is a book known as Systema Naturae. So it is a book written by Carolus Linnaeus. And systematics is taken from a Latin word known as systema, which means systematic arrangement of organisms. Because we have such large number and type of organisms, so there should be a proper arrangement of these organisms into different groups. Suppose in your class there are about 40 students. So all these students can be divided according to first whether they belong to a boy group or a girl group, and then according to their height or according to their hobbies. So we need to put all these so it is easy for us to understand about each organism when they are put in a proper group. So that is why we need a branch of taxonomy. Now let's learn what do we include in taxonomy. So our topic is processes of taxonomy. So as you can see here, there are proper steps of taxonomy: characterization, identification, classification, and nomenclature. So first let's study about characterization. So we see that for understanding the characters of any organism, like for example, an organism has certain external characters and certain internal features. So, and we also take into account the structure of cell. So you know that on the basis of structure of cell, we can divide a cell into a prokaryotic cell or a eukaryotic cell. So a prokaryotic cell does not have a well-defined nucleus, but a eukaryotic cell has a well-defined nucleus. So we can divide organisms on the basis of structure of cell. And also we take into account development process, that how these organisms are developing after the fertilization process, after the male gamete gets fused with the female gamete and the zygote is formed, and how that zygote is developing. So we take into account that, and we also divide organisms into different groups on the basis of this feature. And then we take into account ecological information. Means we can divide organisms whether which they prefer terrestrial habitat or the aquatic habitat or any other ecological information we have about the organism. Now the next step is identification. So this is possible when we have the nomenclature. Means we nomenclature is the naming of organism. So nomenclature is possible only when the organism is described correctly. Means whenever any organism is discovered. So we first take into account their external and internal features, and then on the basis of that, that organism is put in a particular group, that whether it is a plant or an animal or a fungus or a bacteria or a virus. So then we know what an organism is attached to. So this is the identification step. Means we identify the organism on the basis of its features. Then is classification. So classification is the grouping of organisms into convenient categories. So that convenient categories are taxa, and we will take up that in detail a little later. So classification is just putting the organisms on the basis of their groups, the basis of the characteristics into different groups. Now let us understand about the word nomenclature. So nomenclature in simple language is naming. It means it is providing of the standardized name to the organisms, such that a particular organism is known by the same name all over the world. So we know that, for example, we take an example of a dog. So it can be known in different name in Hindi or in some other particular language. But for a biologist to communicate, that particular organism should have a fixed name, that is the scientific name, so that we can understand that easily. Like it is the universal name given to an organism. So let us proceed ahead with the system of nomenclature. So Carolus Linnaeus, here you can see the picture of Carolus Linnaeus. He was the person who gave binomial system of nomenclature. Now let us see what is binomial system of nomenclature. Binomial system of nomenclature is the naming of organisms in which we have two components of the name. So this system was proposed by Carolus Linnaeus. So as you can see here, we have botanical names and zoological names. So as we all know that botany deals with the study of plants and zoology deals with the study of animals. So there is a proper code, that is International Code for Botanical Nomenclature, which is used to provide names for the plants, and zoological names are based on International Code for Zoological Nomenclature, and this will provide the code or the definite procedures for naming animals. So you need to learn the full forms of ICBN and ICZN. So now let us study the universal rules of binomial nomenclature. So the system of naming with two components, that is known as binomial nomenclature. So let us study its rules. So scientific names are generally in Latin. So the names we give to a particular organism, it is in Latin, and these names are written in italics. So these names are italicized, means they are written in italics. Okay, so we were talking about the two components of name. So we use the first word, that is the genus name or the generic name, and the second word is the species name or the specific epithet. So I will give you an example how to name an organism. So first let us complete with all the rules. So the names are printed in italics, means whenever you find a name in a particular book, it is written in italics. But whenever we write down that name in our notebooks, they are always underlined. So because we cannot write in italics in our notebooks, so that is why we underline it to specify that it is a scientific name. Now, the generic name starts with a capital letter and the specific name starts with a small letter. Means the generic name starts with the uppercase and the specific name starts with the lowercase. Now, this example you see here, it's written Homo sapiens. So Homo sapiens is actually the name of a human being. So Homo, so we see that this is italicized, and Homo is the genus name and sapiens is the specific name. So now let us see another rule, that author's name means the author which is to give the name to the particular organism, means that author is giving the name to a particular organism that is in abbreviated form and that appears after the specific epithet or the specific name. So suppose we have Mangifera indica. So this is the scientific name of mango. So we used Lin. So this Lin means that this was first described by Linnaeus. So name of the author, it appears after the specific epithet, that is at the end of the biological name, and it is written in an abbreviated form. So it indicates that this species was first described by Linnaeus. So now let us proceed with the next subtopic, that is the taxonomic categories. So now let us understand what are taxonomic categories. So actually taxonomic categories are different ranks that are placed in ascending or descending order. So as you can see here, certain terms like species, genus, family, order, class, phylum, kingdom, domain and life. So it is a series of different ranks that are placed in ascending or descending order. So we can start with life, domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus and species. So they can be placed in vice versa order also. So it was the Linnaeus who for the very first time introduced the categories that are known as taxonomic hierarchy, and later on few other categories were added. So we have basically 7 obligate categories, means 7 categories are absolutely important to give classification of an organism. These are kingdom, phylum or division, class, order, family, genus and species. Now I have used the word phylum and division. So phylum is used in case of animals and division, it is used in place of phylum in case of plants. Now let us understand this, that this classification involves a hierarchy of steps in which each step represents a rank or a taxonomic category or a taxon. So remember that species is also a taxon, genus is also a taxon, but they are different taxonomic categories. So each taxonomic category is known as taxon. So taxon is the general term we use for taxonomic category. So all the categories, they together constitute the taxonomic hierarchy, and each taxon represents the unit of classification. So now let us understand taxonomic hierarchy with the help of an example. So here we see that if we start with the species, and we are here taking the example of a human being, and the name we give to a human being is Homo sapiens. So Homo is the genus name and sapiens is the species name. So this Homo sapiens belong to a family Hominidae and the order Primata, class will be Mammalia, and here we use the word phylum. Phylum will be Chordata and kingdom will be Animalia. So we belong to kingdom Animalia and we use the word Chordata, that is all the animals having notochord or the backbone, or you can say vertebral column in a very simple language. So as you see here, higher the category, higher is the number of organisms in it. Means the higher the category, few will be the number of common characters, and lower the category, more will be the number of characters which are in common. So now let us proceed ahead, and here I will explain each taxa one by one. So now we have the term species, and it is very important term. So species, it is a group of individual organisms with fundamental similarities. It's the lowest category as I explained to you earlier. So we have an example. For example, I have taken here the example of few examples like Mangifera indica, whose common name is mango. Means Mangifera is the generic name. It starts with capital letter, and indica is the specific name. It starts with the lowercase, and obviously you have to italicize the generic and the specific names. And Solanum tuberosum is the scientific name of potato. Solanum nigrum is the scientific name of nightshade. Panthera leo is the scientific name of lion. Panthera tigris is the scientific name of tiger, and Homo sapiens is the scientific name of modern man. Now let us understand the concept of species. So species is a very important term. So how do we know that this particular organism belongs to, like it is forming a species? So let us understand what exactly is the meaning of species. So this concept of species was given by a person named as Ernest Mayr. So species is the fundamental unit of classification. So as I already told you that it is a group of organisms which have related characteristics. Now these organisms are closely related to each other structurally as well as functionally, and they share a common gene pool. Means they are very similar to each other. Now person name, I would put it on your screen. This concept was given by Ernest Mayr. Okay. So species is actually a group of organisms which can freely interbreed among themselves to produce a fertile offspring. So this is very, very important. Fertile offspring. So it means that the organisms which are mating with each other, they should produce a fertile offspring. For example, there is a very common example of mule, which is actually the offspring of a male donkey and a female horse, but that is sterile. So we don't include mule, we don't say that mule is a species. So it does not qualify the concept of species because it is sterile, means it cannot produce its young ones. So fertile hybrid can be a offspring of a male tiger or a female tiger, so that will be a fertile offspring. So Linnaeus thought that the species were constant, and but this concept of species was actually like that needed the concept of the producing the fertile offspring. So now let us proceed with the next category, that is genus. So let us define a genus, that it is the aggregate of closely related species. Let us study with the help of an example. For example, potato, tomato and brinjal are species of genus Solanum. So these three, they belong to genus Solanum. And lion, leopard and tiger, they all are genus Panthera. And this genus differs from another genus Felis, which includes cats, maybe a house cat or a jungle cat. So scientific names are given here, that lion is Panthera leo, leopard is Panthera pardus and tiger is Panthera tigris. So here we can use the single uppercase to represent the genus name. And house cat is Felis domesticus and jungle cat is Felis quos. So we see that we use the common word Panthera to represent the genus. Now let us proceed with another taxa, that is family. So it is a group of related genera, means group of related genus with lesser number of similarities as compared to genus and species. So we see here that family Solanaceae will include genus Solanum, genus Petunia and genus Datura. So this is a family of plant. And here we see the family of animals, which will include genus Panthera and genus family. Means cats and tiger, lion, they will belong to a single family, Felidae. Now another taxa in front of you, which is Order. So order is a group of related families. So for example, here I am explaining with the help of both plant and animal examples. So family Convolvulaceae and family Solanaceae, that will be under order Polymoniales, and order Felidae and order Canidae will be under order Carnivora. So carnivora, you understand, the animals that feed on other animals. So we know that a lot of families which have similar characters, they are included under a single order. So you may have different orders which include families which are having similar characteristics. Now let's proceed on with the next taxa, that is class. So it is the assemblage of related orders. So for example, order Sapindales and order Utricales may be having certain characteristics which are common. So that will be under Dicotyledone. So Dicotyledone is the plants having two cotyledons. So here we see the example of mammals. So order Primata and order Carnivora falls under class Mammalia. So now let us proceed on with the next higher taxa, that is phylum or division. So phylum or division, it's the assemblage of related classes. So in case of plants, the related classes form division, and in case of animals, the related classes form. So animals will form phylum and plants will form division. So you can see number of classes which are having similar characteristics, they fall under a single phylum. And finally, we have the taxa kingdom, which is the assemblage of various phyla. So it's the highest category. So we have two kingdoms like kingdom Plantae and kingdom Animalia, and these are self-explanatory terms. That is, all the plants, they fall under kingdom Plantae, and all the animals, they fall under kingdom Animalia. So they may be having divisions which are having similar characters, so they fall under a single kingdom plant. And here phylum Chordata and phylum Arthropoda may be under kingdom Animalia. So let us see this with the help of an example. So we have the species Tigris and genus Panthera, which falls under the family Felidae. So see, all the tigers, they have similar characteristics, but genus Panthera will include both lion and tiger, which may be having few similar characters, and family Felidae will include cat, lion and tiger, because these three have certain features in common. And together with dog, they fall under carnivora because they may feed on the flesh of other animals. And then we have Mammalia, in which Mammalia are the organisms which can produce milk for the young ones. So it includes a man also. So then we have phylum Chordata, and all the organisms belonging to phylum Chordata may be having a backbone or a vertebral column. And then finally we have kingdom Animalia, which will include all the animals of the world. So friends, this is all for today, and I will be taking up next subtopic, that is taxonomical aids. Thank you so much.